What did Perariyan Anna say? He said we have a two-language policy. The two-language policy is Tamil, or in your case, your home language, your mother tongue, and English, right? Only two languages. Now, anybody who tells you that you have to go to a three-language formula first is basically just got, fundamental flaw in the logic. Because why should I have a three-language formula? You in Tamil Nadu learn Tamil plus English plus Hindi. You in Gujarat learn Gujarati plus English plus Hindi. The third language can be used to communicate within India. But Hindi is not intrinsic to at least 60-70% of the country. So why should we all learn a third language that we all don't inherently have in our blood, in our tongue, just for the sake of communicating with each other? So it is complete language chauvinism. Even going to a three-language formula is utter language chauvinism. Now to say that you must drop English and speak Hindi, that is exactly the retrograde kind of taking India into the dark ages logic that has led to this government's economic failure. Those who feel the people are with them, those that the people trust, those that have the political will because they are connected to the people, they can raise the taxes and deliver the results from those increased taxes. Couldn't be more stark in the difference between us and whatever the Home Minister said. Let's start from the beginning. What did Perariyan Anna say? He said we have a two-language policy. The two-language policy is Tamil, or in your case, your home language, your mother tongue, and English, right? Only two languages. If everybody follows the two-language policy, that means people in Tamil Nadu, people in UP, people in Bihar, people in Rajasthan, people in Karnataka and Maharashtra and Punjab, everybody follows the two-language policy. We get phenomenally good outcomes because there's a lot of scientific evidence that education in the mother tongue is where the greatest traction happens. We want to preserve our culture. The most stable identity of our culture, the root of our culture is our language, right? So everybody gets to preserve their language. And everybody gets to communicate not only with each other's state, but also the bulk of the world. For example, even Germans learn English. Even the French learn English, right? So you get the great luxury of having your own language, your own culture, your own heritage, and a global connect. Now, anybody who tells you that you have to go to a three-language formula first is basically just got, fundamental flaw in the logic. Because why should I have a three-language formula? Supposing that somebody were to tell me I should have a three-language formula, let alone the Home Minister's comment, which is completely off logic. But a more logical point, which is still fallacy, is three-language. What does three-language mean? It says, you in Tamil Nadu learn Tamil plus English plus Hindi. You in Gujarat learn Gujarati plus English plus Hindi. You in Maharashtra learn Marathi plus English plus Hindi. Now my question is, why should the third language add any value? And the usual retort is, the third language can be used to communicate within India. But Hindi is not intrinsic to at least 60-70% of the country. So why should we all learn a third language that we all don't inherently have in our blood, in our tongue, just for the sake of communicating with each other? That means for that percentage of the country that's not Hindi, clearly English is enough. Our home language plus English. For that percentage of the language country whose mother tongue is Hindi, surely if they had learnt English, they would not need us to know Hindi. So it is complete language chauvinism. Even going to a three-language formula is utter language chauvinism, because what it means is those who learn Hindi will not even learn English. They will have a one-language formula for the Hindi belt and a three-language formula for all the rest of us who need to communicate with a one-language belt. Not only is it chauvinism, it is economically, inverse logic. Because there are very few Tamil, English, Gujarati, Marathi, Kannada, Punjabi, Bengali speakers going and looking for work in the Hindi belt. There are tens of millions of people from the Hindi belt coming to other places to look for work. Does it make sense for somebody to learn the language where they're going to look for work? Or does it make sense for the people who are giving the work to learn the language of those coming to seek work? It makes no sense whatsoever. So, first of all, even a 3-language formula is a fallacy. A 3-language formula really translates to a 3-language formula for that 50% of the country or whatever that doesn't speak Hindi, and then a 1-language formula for the remaining whatever, not even 50, 30, 40% of the country that speaks Hindi. And this should be averaging out to some 1.6 or something language form. It makes no sense whatsoever. Now to say that you must drop English and speak Hindi, that is exactly the retrograde kind of taking India into the dark ages logic that has led to this government's economic failure. We want to be open to the world. We want to transact with everybody. The problem of maladministration and failure of governance at the union government is not to bring everybody else down to your level of failure, is to try and learn from those who are succeeding and elevate those states up to everybody else's standard. So don't tell us not to use English. Figure out how to get the rest of the people how to learn English, which you have not been able to do for all the years you've been in governance, right? So one government's and one minister's administrative failure should not be a reason to retard the rest of the society. Very clear? Okay.
So talking about the property tax, we are seeing opposition parties here condemning the raise of the percentage of property tax. This already being an intricate subject that common man is not able to understand at the first beginning. How are you seeing these protests that are ongoing now? AIADMK continuously and the BJP today as well have condemned the raise in the percentage of the property tax and have started protests.
I'm not overly worried about political protests. So let me just talk about policy, right? I don't know. There's 2 approaches that converge at the same place. The first approach starts with the 15th Finance Commission. The 15th Finance Commission, in its terms of reference, has clearly stated that unless local bodies make certain changes to the property tax and to the floor revenues that are raised through these kinds of taxes, they will not be eligible for grants from the union. Our tax money coming back, whatever, one small fraction of our tax money coming back, even that we will not be eligible for, our local bodies will not be eligible for unless they make certain changes in the rate. We have already shown the mathematical calculation of what that would lead to a loss of somewhere between 13,500 and 15,000 crores. This calculation, in fact, would have kicked in last year itself. But the 15th Finance Commission, because it had a 1-year interim report and then a 5-year report, it specifically stated that because of COVID, you're going to get an exemption for the year 2021. And the 21-22 year, before the end of the fiscal year, you must notify the changes. Otherwise, you're not eligible for the grants going forward. Now, this is a state that has already lost a lot. Every single time we have been to Delhi in the last 3-4 months, we have brought up with the Union Finance Ministry that we lost almost 5,000 something crores of grants because the previous ADMK administration had not run the local body elections. It was conditioned on that. So we are not guys to follow in the failure of our predecessors when they've already lost 5,000 crores by not doing something that the Finance Commission required. How would we be justified in calling them incompetent and immoral if we went ahead and again failed to do something that now lost us 3 times the amount of money? So the fact that it is in the Finance Commission is not questionable. Not only, you've read in the press, not only have advisors like ours or all economists agreed that that's there because it's black and white. Anybody who can read English knows or Hindi where the report came out can tell. But more than that, Dr. Anup Singh, who was a member of the 15th Finance Commission, he himself has given a statement that this was the intent of what the Finance Commission wanted. They wanted to see a seerdirtham, improvement, rejuvenation of local body finances. So this is the first way of looking at it. The second way of looking at it is, what kind of state are we and what kind of citizens do we have and what is their economic condition? So if you start from that perspective, in my budget reply, I gave the statement that we are not a poor state, right? We have about 7.5 to 8 crore citizens and our GSDP is about 24 lakh crores. That means more than 3 lakh rupees per person. Even on FX terms, that's about $4,000 US. That is not a poor state. There are many indicators to support this. But what really amazed me was what I saw in the JPAL, MIDS, University of Michigan kind of baseline survey, which was shown to me for the first time a little while ago, that I also cited in my speech in the assembly, that 75% of our families own their own house, as high as 90% in rural and 60% in urban. More than 60% own two-wheelers, 50% own fridges, 90% own cell phones. So we are an aspirational society. Now, you cannot fault one basic number. All the way across ADMK, DMK between 2003 and 2014. The state's own revenues as a percentage of GSDP. Now, what does that mean? Doesn't matter if the economy is doing well or bad. As a percentage of the total production of the state's own revenues used to be between 9 and 10%. Ever since the lady went to jail, our former Chief Minister, Ms. Jayalalitha, in 2014 when she was imprisoned, and after that the administration started decaying. Ever since then, the revenue started dropping as a percentage of GSDP. I'm not talking about absolute numbers. I'm talking about as a percentage of the economy. And they dropped. Prior to COVID, they were already below 7%. And after COVID, they dropped below 6%. Now, just think about what that means. If I say right now, there's, let's say, conservatively a 3% gap. A 3% gap on a 24 lakh crore GSDP is 72,000 crores. 72,000 crores is greater than the revenue deficit of the state. So what has really happened, if I do it mathematically, I can show you. What has really happened is that revenues have fallen off a cliff. No politician can cut spending fast enough because a lot of it is non-discretionary, salaries, pensions, etc. And that which is discretionary, we still have to face re-election. So we can't cut truly to match the level of fall off. So 100% of our problem started with the fall off in revenue, inability to cut spending both structurally and politically, therefore starting to become a revenue deficit state. Till 2014, revenue neutral state. Tamil Nadu was one of the best administered states financially across all parties. I'm not even talking politics here.